Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss horror. And today I'm here to talk to you about not a movie but a TV show that just landed on Netflix, and that is Junji Ito's MANIAC, Japanese Tales of the Macabre.
It's coffee time!
So the first season just dropped on Netflix and I started watching it, and I realized that instead of binging it all in one day, even though the episodes are short, I thought it was better to spread it out, because after watching a couple of episodes back to back, I started feeling like I was not appreciating them at the same level anymore. Like my attention span was not there as it should. So I decided to just spread it in a couple of days, and I'm here to let you know what I thought of it, if you should watch it or not. So everything is gonna be completely spoiler free. The only thing I'm gonna mention is probably a couple of themes of what the episodes are about, but it's not gonna spoil the fun for you. This is a Japanese original animation TV show, and this series goes over some of the works of Junji Ito. He has a lot of published mangas that are all horror and quite disturbing, so since I am familiar with that, I was excited to see how the TV show was going to be. Some of the stories that they were going to adapt were some of my favorites, which are Tommy and the Hanging Balloons, so I was especially excited to watch those episodes. What you can expect here is really bizarre, weird, and disturbing tales. And these are a lot if you are not used to watching horror, but since it is animated and it is not live action, a lot more people probably can watch it without feeling way too disgusted. In 1987, Junji Ito created one of his most popular characters, who is Tommy. Tommy is a girl that just refuses to stay dead, and we love that idea. There's even a movie series about it, and it is definitely one of his most popular works. Part of what makes Junji Ito's works so great is that those things stick with you. If you've ever read his mangas, you're not gonna be able to forget those images. Especially, like I've mentioned, Tommy, the schoolgirl that refuses to stay dead, and Uzumaki, which is the story of a town that is obsessed with spirals. Uzumaki was the very first contact that I had with Junji Ito. When I was going to university, there was a kind of like you know, one of those nerd shops that had, you know, collectible figures and mangas and comics, and I went there one day and I found Uzumaki. I didn't know anything about it, I didn't know anything about the author, but it caught my eye and I bought it, and since then I've been obsessed with his really dark stories. His mangas have absolutely disturbing, horrifying, haunting images, and even when you finish reading, there's a lot of things that you're gonna keep in your head for longer probably than you wanted. In this first season, we have 20 of his tales, but those are spread in 12 different episodes. So it means that some of the episodes have 2 different stories. One of my favorite is the story about the Hanging Balloons, which has the idea of doppelgangers and suicide. That episode was one of my favorites as well, and I'm really glad that they focused just in that one idea for the episode. What all the episodes have in common at the end of the day is that they start with a very simple idea, a very, you know, simple topic, and then things start to escalate until they get extremely disturbing, to the point where some things, like I said, this is basically what nightmares are made of. It just really gets fucked up. Some stories more than others, but Junji Ito is never afraid to really go there and write and design really messed up images. So some things that the adaptation did differently that I was not on board with was that there is perhaps too much comedy and fun parts that are integrated in the stories, and some of the characters even came as annoying and irritating, especially the opening episode. I found that the characters were just annoying me to the point where I was not having a good time with that episode. And it is a pity because it is the very first one, so that one is kind of setting the tone for everything that's coming after. So if you're struggling with that first episode, I do recommend you to keep pushing, because that was just very unfortunate that that one was the first one, because it does get better. But I do feel like they put perhaps a little bit too much comedy into it. When it comes to, you know, transporting the manga into another media, which is an animated TV show, you of course has different challenges. One of the first challenges you're going to encounter is that you cannot make it as detailed as the manga was, so there has to be some kind of changes. I do think that in some aspects they did it really well, and in others it felt a little bit lacking. Now, when you transport a manga that it's always been black and white, like all of Junji Ito's works are black and white, and you turn it into something that has color, I felt like it loses a little bit of that atmosphere. It loses that, you know, creepiness, that horror element. It somehow makes things look different, and for me it lost a little bit the impact that the manga has. So I don't know if doing it in color was the best choice, but I do understand that they wanted to make it perhaps more approachable for all types of modern viewers. It just feels, you know, more bright, and that has a consequence, and the consequence is that it's less dreadful, you know, it just looks less scary. Maybe they could have done it in color but kept the colors all the time really like cold colors and make it a little bit darker to still kind of give us that horror feeling. So all of the stories except of one that is black and white are in color. I just wanted to mention that because there is one that they did choose black and white, but I kind of wish they would have done it with all of them. A lot of the stories that he wrote are set in the 80s and the 90s, and when they have now transported it to the animated series, I felt like maybe they felt a little bit too modern for my taste. But even though we have some changes that were done, which is understandable because you have to transport a media into a different one, and adapting it is not that easy, I feel like, you know, the main horror elements of Junji Ito's work still remain. Like, it's going to be disgusting, it's going to be extremely messed up, you're going to see things coming out of people's mouths that you wish you had never seen, and there's going to be episodes that might make you want to throw up. Especially there was a episode which was also one of my favorites, that it is involving a tunnel and people that disappear in there, that are kind of swallowed by this tunnel, and the way that the manga depicts that, it is absolutely disgusting with a lot more detail, a lot more body. And in the animated version, I felt like it didn't have the same impact, so we're kind of losing a little bit, and I wish there would have been sometimes a little bit more faithful to the source material, even though Junji Ito sometimes likes to fill the whole page with things, and he sometimes spent like a whole day just for a page. So he did always put so much effort into his work, and I understand why sometimes it is not doable to bring it to, you know, an animated series. But I also felt like they just wanted to have less work, so they kind of simplified it. And another thing that I would like to comment is that I felt the horror didn't work as well as it could have because the episodes were too short. Especially the episodes that are split and they're telling two different stories. I felt like they had to rush so much that we go from, you know, this basic concept that is harmless to a really messed up situation, like we're rushing through it, and then we don't really have time to build up the tension and build up that expectation of the horror and really get into you know, the myths, the legends, the messed up stories. I just feel like it was rushed. So despite everything, I did give this one a 3 out of 5, and I do feel like you guys should give it a chance. If you like anime, I feel like if you don't like anime at all, I don't know how you're gonna feel about it, but maybe just try to put an episode on, maybe not the first one because that's not the best. But you know, just give it a shot. The ideas are there, the images are there, the messed up stories, the really gruesome graphics, they are there, but the stories felt most of the time rushed, and it didn't have the same impact that I would have expected than you will get if you read the mangas. What I'm really excited about is something else that they have been developing for a while from Junji Ito's work, and that is a show, like a series, really just focus on Uzumaki, which was the first story that I read by him, and they are doing it black and white. There is a trailer out there already that looks really promising. This show has been postponed a couple of times, I believe, so I'm really excited to see it finally come out, hopefully in 2023. That is what we're currently have been told, that it's going to come out in 2023. So that one I'm really excited about because it feels like it's going to be a lot more faithful to the source material, and Uzumaki is a story that is really close to my heart, so hopefully that one is going to be much better and more satisfying, especially in the horror territory. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed this spoiler-free review of Junji Ito's Macabre Tales. It is currently streaming on Netflix. Let me know, you guys, if you've tried it, if you are familiar with Junji Ito's work, yeah, and if you're willing to give the show a try. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!